Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carolyn and I am a twin mom to twin baby girls, Summer and Winter. And today I just want to share a really special video. While it's still fresh in my memory, I would like to share a little bit about my twin pregnancy and just everything I went through and what it was like and what I experienced. Honestly, when I was going through my pregnancy, I was looking up YouTube videos just like this all the time because I was like, is what I'm going through normal? Am I experiencing something that's okay? I mean, every single day, if I wanted to know, can I eat this? I would look it up. If I wanted to know, is it okay if I go to this place? Is it okay if I breathe this air? Is it okay if I don't know, anything that happened. If the wind blew on me a funny direction, I was Googling it to make sure that I was gonna be okay and the babies were gonna be okay and everything was gonna be fine. I think just, when you're pregnant and especially first pregnancy, it is all about having peace of mind. Maybe you're looking at this video because you are going through a twin pregnancy as well. And if you are, congratulations. And I mean, just with any pregnancy, congratulations. I personally really just want to get this onto video form so that I can remember what I went through and be able to remember down the road if I do go through a similar experience again, what it was like, and just, memories. So without further ado, I'm just gonna start with where I found out I was pregnant. I've got a whole story about how I actually found out I was pregnant and things like that. You can check out that video up here. But I'm gonna start from where we found out that I was pregnant, basically from the experience side of what I was going through. So pregnancy test was positive. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. Okay, so what I was experiencing during the first trimester, or more specifically the first few weeks, it does happen, you guys. You can feel signs very early on. And I was only probably about, let's see, I took the pregnancy test at the end of June. I was 5 weeks pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. I didn't know how many weeks pregnant I was until I went to my first doctor appointment and they told me how to count and figure out all that stuff. If you don't know, the first day of your pregnancy is marked at the first day of your last cycle. So that's what I was counting from, and I quickly figured out, once I found out that I was pregnant, I realized that the symptoms I was going through were symptoms that I didn't expect to be pregnancy symptoms, but they were pregnancy symptoms. And basically I just had to pee a lot. I also was really dehydrated and I have no idea why I was dehydrated. And then I realized, pregnant, okay, that explains it. I was moody and that is not normal. I am never moody. And I caught myself, I knew I was moody and I was wondering what is up. And then on top of that, of course, the most obvious sign, being late. So those were the things I was experiencing during the first few weeks. And I just thought, oh, that's just whatever. I didn't think it was because I was pregnant, but then it turns out that it was. I thought it was just because I was like eating really healthy and going to the gym a lot. I thought it was just cleansing. And just so you know, having to pee a lot is definitely a sign of pregnancy because even if it's really, really small, or especially in twins' case, it's double the amount of smallness in there, you are having pressure on your stomach near your bladder area. There is something growing there. No matter how small it is, you can feel it sometimes, and it can make that ever so small difference to make you have to go to the bathroom a lot. Okay, so that was the first few weeks. Fast forward a little bit more. I still felt great. I still felt completely fine. I didn't have any morning sickness all the way up through about week 10. That is where it started, you guys. And I really didn't have bad morning sickness. I'm trying to not upplay it or anything to make it more than what it was. I was very fortunate in my pregnancy. I only had 2 times where I actually was experiencing like full on getting sick morning sickness. There were a few other days where I was like kind of nauseous, but was totally fine. The 2 times that I did get sick, I can make some recommendations to you on what I learned from those experiences. Don't get up and go for a walk and take a shower and not eat breakfast. That was the one time. Eat breakfast. Believe me, it's just worth it. The other time was on a 10-hour flight, which I'm going to share a video very soon about what it was like traveling to Europe and doing a 3-week backpacking trip while I was pregnant during my first trimester. That video is coming very soon to you guys, so you can check that out as well. But I would not necessarily recommend it. I usually fly great, you guys, and it was just the landing. It was bad landing. It was really bumpy, and I held it together the whole time. I was like kind of feeling it all day, and then it happened. But anyway, I was okay. It's all good. And you know, when it happens, like, don't feel bad. That's one of my other suggestions is, if you do have morning sickness, do not worry what other people are thinking. You do you. You take care of you and the baby or babies in there. That is number one. So yeah, that was my first trimester. Was basically pretty smooth except for like weeks 10 to 12, maybe even 10 to 14, I would say, was kind of like the stage where I had some nausea. And luckily it all subsided by week 14/15. So everybody experiences that differently. I know some people who have even said that they've gone through pregnancy multiple times and they have had completely different experiences from one to another. I've heard that women who I have friends with, I'm friends with a lot of twin moms, women who have had twin boys generally have told me that they experienced a lot of nausea versus the people who I know who had twin girls didn't seem to have it as much, and I have twin girls. I don't know if that is a factual thing or if that's just what happens to be the case with all the people that I know, but that's just one thing that I found interesting. In addition to that, my second trimester, I didn't even feel like I was pregnant. Okay, I was showing. I had a big bump early on. So I had a girlfriend who was actually 10 weeks ahead of me in her singleton pregnancy. And she told me, you know, let's hang out, let's get together and compare bumps. And sure enough, my bump was bigger than hers she was 28 weeks and I was only 18 weeks. And it looked like I was 30 along. I mean, I was literally, you know, it's double. That's literally what it is when you're double with twins. It's just what you have to expect. You have 2 babies growing in there. And luckily for me, I was able to track their growth and see that they were both growing very steadily at every single appointment. So one thing, if you don't know about twins, every single doctor appointment, checkup, things like that, you do get an ultrasound, which is actually really nice. I didn't even realize that singleton pregnant mothers don't get to do an ultrasound at every single appointment. I just thought that was normal. But then again, pregnancy with twins is my only pregnancy that I've been through so far. So I have learned that that is something that is special. You get to officially see your babies on the ultrasound monitor. You get to hear their heartbeats every single time. They basically check all the things just to make sure that they're both okay. And I would say, honestly, during my first 10 weeks of pregnancy, before I went into my first appointment and found out it was twins, you guys, I was really worried. And if you're in your first trimester and you're freaking out, like not sure what's going on in there just because you know you're pregnant, but you haven't actually seen it on a screen or talked to a doctor about it, like that was me. I was like, is everything going on okay in there? I mean, I took one test and it was positive, and I was pretty confident that I didn't need to take another one because I knew I was definitely experiencing some weird stuff and I missed my cycle. So that was like, okay, it's definitely happening. I knew I was pregnant. It was just a matter of, is everything okay in there? Is my little baby okay? Is he or she still, you know, there? I mean, I didn't even know what signs to look for if things weren't to be going well. I wouldn't have even known what to look for. So when I went in for my very first appointment at 10 weeks, I was so like, oh, I just want to see the monitor. I just want to hear the heartbeat and I just want to know it's okay. Like that's all I wanted. I just wanted to know it was okay. And it was double okay, because that's when she told me, oh, here's the heartbeat. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then she goes, and here's another heartbeat. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, it's not my heartbeat, right? She's like, no, there are 2 other heartbeats here and they are not yours. And I was like, are you kidding? And she's like, nope, I do not kid about this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I just started crying and like seriously, like tears streaming down my face. Like I was already getting emotional just from the one heartbeat. Like that's already really special. And then for them to say there's another one, I was like, ah. So anyway, I was like physically shaking and it was awesome. like I said, I've got a whole story about that. If you want to check out that other video, I'll link it below. So from that moment forward, after finding out I was having twins, I kind of thought, okay, well, this is going to be crazy. What am I getting myself in for? And like the whole pregnancy, I did wonder that, like, this is going to be crazy. Life is never going to be the same. I mean, with any first time baby, life is never going to be the same. But I was like, what have we done? Like, oh my gosh, you know, even my husband was freaking out, like, what? You know, even like all the way through my pregnancy, randomly, he would still just be like, twins? I'm like, I know. It's crazy. So fast forward, like I said, into my second trimester, I was back from the travel that I did in Europe, but we went and traveled again and we did a cruise and I held it together really good for that. Luckily, I wasn't going through nausea stage during that time. If you are thinking about doing a baby moon, do not go on a cruise during your first trimester. Second trimester, cool. I totally recommend it. Third, if you're feeling up to it, but second trimester, my friends, is where I recommend as the fun phase. I don't know why, but like second trimester was awesome. Like I had all the energy in the world. I mean, it was almost better than like not being pregnant. Like I felt like all the fat from my hips basically went to my tummy. I mean, I'm not trying to like call myself fat or anything. I'm not trying to say that at all, but it was really nice because anything that I felt was like extra skin completely went towards my tummy. So I had this like nice round bump and it was becoming pretty clear. Probably around week 19, I looked like I was about ready to pop with like one baby. People were looking at me asking like, oh my gosh, like, are you having the baby soon? And I was like, try 5 more months. Oh, well, maybe 4 more months was more so the case, but I would tell them I'm only halfway through, you guys. And that is how it goes. Like, also everybody's bump is different. Everybody's body is different. So if you're not having a big bump at week 19, like that's okay too. You know, just go with the flow, do you, breathe, things like that. But anyway, bottom line, second trimester was the fun phase. So I would recommend if you're going to do a baby moon, do it then. Fast forward into my third trimester, we basically, I don't know, let's see, what week is the beginning of the third trimester? I think that's like week 27 or something, like week 26, 27 is kind of like the beginning of the third trimester. So during that third trimester, I actually was very fortunate to be mobile the whole time. There are many, many women who have twin pregnancies and actually have to go on bed rest around the beginning of the third trimester. It just depends on your body and how big the babies are. I mean, I had pretty good sized babies. I had 13 pounds of baby in there by the time I gave birth. They were 6'7" and 6'9". But, you know, the whole time I held it together pretty good. I went on daily walks and I think that made a huge difference. And I'm not talking like big long walks. I mean, just like around basically my neighborhood, like a couple blocks, easy, something that just gets you moving. Honestly, sometimes I even used food as motivation because you can eat when you're pregnant. Seriously, same with breastfeeding. You can eat everything you want in the world. It's awesome and like not gain a pound. So I was able to, and don't get me wrong, I did eat pretty healthy. Like that was really my goal, but food was definitely still something that could be used as motivation, just saying. So sometimes I would honestly motivate myself to go for a walk by saying, I'm going to walk down to the bakery and I'm going to go get a croissant with some cream cheese filling or something like that. That was like just something special for me to be like, I'm getting myself out of the house. This is happening because also I stopped working around probably 32 weeks. And it wasn't necessarily that I had to, it was more so that I was planning my stay-at-home lifestyle. I was transitioning out of a full-time job and I had already trained my replacement pretty early on because my boss didn't honestly know, neither did I, how long I had until my twins were gonna come. Everybody told me that twins come early. Everybody told me that you're going to need to expect having NICU time with your twins. They're just going to be born early because of the space issue. And, you know, if they come out early, they're probably going to have breathing issues and they're going to be too small and they're going to need to go in the NICU to just get some help getting on track. And I was so thankful. I couldn't believe it. Every single week that went by, I was like, thank you, God. Oh my gosh, they're still in there. I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, when is this gonna happen? Like, my family was like planning things around me. Basically, all the dates and invitations that came about to things that, you know, my family and close friends were gonna go to, they would all give tentative answers like, yes, I will attend, except for if Carolyn has her baby, then I need to be there. So I, of course, was declining a lot of things just because, again, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to go on, you know, like weekend excursions or whatnot. Like, there was like a work conference that I really wanted to go to in the mountains, but it's a 3-hour drive and it would have been around my 36-week mark. And I just thought, you know, I probably shouldn't go, because if, let's say, I start having really intense contractions, I don't want to like be in pain while I'm like at this conference. And I also don't want to be 3 hours away from the hospital that I am supposed to give birth at. And all of my resources are at home, and you know, it makes sense to be a little bit more cautious during that time. But guys, I made it past 38 weeks. We had to kick them out. They didn't come on their own. It was a planned birth, which, by the way, if you want to see, I am going to upload my birth story very soon as well, but I'll give you just a little bit of insight into it. It was a C-section. It was planned because of the baby's positioning. They were like yin and yang. One had her head up way by my ribs and the other one was head down. But because of the one by my ribs, that's why we went back and forth forever. I'll tell you all about that debate in my birth story. But it turned out really good, you guys, and I'm just so thankful. So during my 3rd trimester, the main things that I experienced were, one, you have to pee constantly. Like, I was going like every hour, I swear, like even at night. And it sucks because you wake up at night because you're huge and you have to pee and your bladder is like this much space in there. So then I was like, okay, that's great. I guess I'm just getting practice for the babies because, you know, once they're here, I'm not going to get sleep either. Everyone tells you, like, enjoy being pregnant because once the baby comes, you're not going to get any sleep. You can't get sleep when you're pregnant with twins, okay? They're kicking you and waking you up. Although, actually, I was really lucky. I don't know, like, my babies seemed to kick more during the day, which is nice. Most pregnant women say that their babies kick more at night because when you are moving, you tend to rock your babies to sleep. And then when you're sleeping and you're sitting still, that's when your babies are like moving around like, hey, what's going on out there? Why aren't we doing something? So luckily they weren't kicking me too much at night, but I still, like, you know, like I said, you have to pee. You've got like all the things going on in your head. Like, oh, when are they going to come? What's my life going to look like? I'm never going to be the same again. You know, all the things. And sleep during the 3rd trimester is just not really something you should expect to have. But what I would recommend doing during the 3rd trimester is plan out as much as you can, because I will say when the babies are here, it is more difficult to do things like clean your house, go out to dinner. I mean, enjoy it. Go out and go out to eat. In fact, that's what we did like the last night before our babies were born. We went out to a restaurant that was happening and it was good time. And I was like dancing around with my big belly and, you know, I mean, oh man, it's so fun. You do have to be cautious about where you go to eat because you got to make sure that they have a table with like a chair that like is big enough to fit the big bump if you're like huge at the end. But basically, yeah, every single week that passed by, I just felt like, you know what, I should be doing all the things that I can't do when the babies are here. So I went and got a massage. I went and got my nails done, which actually for me personally, I am a massage person and I've been getting massages monthly for many years. So for me, pregnancy was no exception. I got massages, prenatal massages, the entire time on a monthly basis. And I think by the time that I gave birth, I think I had my last massage like just a couple of weeks before, because, you know, it's like, enjoy it, you know, plus it just also, I think, can help with like tension in your back or your shoulders or whatever. I mean, however you carry your bump, which another thing is, I did not use any of those like little belt things that go around the bottom of your belly to help hold it up. I didn't use those just because I tried it on. It didn't seem that comfortable, but a lot of people recommend those. So that's something that you could try too if you need help like holding up the bump. You know what's funny about my pregnancy is if you looked at me from the back or even the front, if I was wearing like a dark color, you couldn't even tell I was pregnant. and then I turn sideways and it's like, whoa. Oh, so good. Don't forget to take bump pictures. I took bump pictures almost every single week, and I'm so thankful that I did. Honestly, I wish that I would have documented more of it. I wish I would have started vlogging back then, because I actually thought about starting my video blog back then, and then I just kind of, I don't know, I chickened out. I got nervous, and I just thought, oh, I don't know, I can't be like, I don't know. I'm like an extrovert too, but I got camera shy, and I didn't do it. But that's okay, because I still have pictures and I still have memories, and I can share all about it with you guys. I also didn't have any swelling feet until after my babies were born. I have no idea why it happened after my babies were born, because it's a lot more common for you to have your feet swell up or your ankles swell up during your pregnancy. And a lot of it's just because you're drinking so much water and you're retaining extra water. But that didn't happen to me at all during my pregnancy. And maybe it's because my babies were just drinking up all the water that I was drinking. But that is one thing that I was also really thankful for. But after I had my babies, it was about a week after we'd been home that then it hit, and I started getting swollen ankles, and it only lasted about 2 days. I have no idea why it hit, but the things that seemed to help was drinking a lot of water, like trying to just recycle my fluids. Also, you know, your body goes through quite a bit after you've had a major surgery or a major birth. And so with those things, you just have to like take each day, maybe get off your feet a little bit, you know, but still try to like stretch out, try to even like give yourself a little foot massage, you know, things like that seems to help. But it just went away on its own, which I was really thankful for. And the same goes for cravings. Honestly, I didn't have any during my pregnancy. And then after I had my babies, oh wow. Yeah, that's when I learned what cravings really were. Breastfeeding twins, oh, cravings galore. And it was mostly, for me, it was like sweet carbs. I was craving muffins. I was craving chocolate chip pancakes. Things that aren't great for you, but you know what? If it's something that'll keep you going after doing a late night breastfeeding session with 2 babies in the middle of the night, like all the power to you. It's what worked for me. And once I stopped breastfeeding, the cravings subsided very quickly. Another thing you may want to do at the beginning of your 3rd trimester is pack your hospital bag, because of the fact that you never know how long you have until the babies want to show up. And just because of being cautious and planning things in advance, you don't want to be like running around when you already have your contractions and you're in pain. You don't want to be like running around trying to pack your bag. So what I did is, once I grew out of the like 2nd trimester pants and things like that, I put a couple of those outfits into my bag, because I knew that I was going to be a little smaller, you know, after giving birth, but I knew I wasn't going to fit back into my normal thing. So that's why you still want to have pregnancy clothes in your hospital bag. And like I said, I want to make a whole pregnancy series. So pretty soon I'll also share a video about your hospital bag and what things you need to put in there, recommendations that I would have based on my experience. So that's just something else to think about during the beginning of your 3rd trimester, is to get your hospital bag packed and just set it by the door so it's ready to go whenever you need it. Car seats are the same thing. We got our car seats professionally installed. Anybody at the fire station or your local hospital should have a technician that is a professional that is able to do this the right way. It shouldn't be that hard to install your car seats, but it's just one of those things that you want to make sure you do right. And having a professional train you the very first time to do it is a really good idea. And if you have it done during your 3rd trimester, then you have no worries about how you're going to get the babies home from the hospital. And same thing with your parents. If let's say that your family is around and they're going to be helping you, and there's any chance that they're going to be having the babies in their car, if let's say they have extra car seat bases that are just going to be in their car, have them have those installed around that time as well. Unless they need their back seat for any reason, it may as well just be there, because it's just going to help out so much in the future. Like, you don't want to be a week postpartum and trying to help your parents like put in their car seats for the first time or something if they need to come over and help you, or, you know, whatever the case is. It's just better to plan some of these things ahead. And while you're still having your babies in your tummy, a lot of these things are easier. If you haven't done it yet and you've already had your babies, or you're about to have your babies, you know, maybe just have your spouse do it, or have a good friend take care of those things. And furthermore, having a really good support system is definitely important, even if it's just somebody that you need to like tell about what's going on. You know, like I think it's really cool when women do their pregnancy updates on their vlogs and things like that. I wish that I would have done that, but you know what? My pregnancy updates were basically my weekly outings to go to church with my family, and I would just be like, oh, guess what? I'm in week 37, you know, and every single week they would celebrate together, and I would like tell them what I'm feeling, and you know, every single day made a big difference. And the last weekend, the last Sunday, right before the girls were born, they were born on a Monday, we did go out and had brunch and we celebrated, and it was awesome. It was just a really nice last big outing before like having the babies. Another thing I want to talk about is stretch marks. So that's gonna happen. I thought for some reason that I was the exception, because all the way to like, gosh, I don't know, like 33 or 34 weeks, I didn't have like any stretch marks. And it was amazing. I was like, thanks God, like this is so awesome. My tummy is just like growing and it's just like working itself. It's all good. And I was using Burt's Bees belly butter like the whole time. I'll link it below. But I think that helped a lot. With that said, around weeks 34, 35, something like that, all the stretch marks came, and oh, my whole tummy just got filled real quick. It was like one little line and then the whole thing was like, but it's okay because I am watching it happen. They're going away, and postpartum like is working itself. It's all good. Don't freak out. But like I said, if you do get those stretch marks, and even if you're just like, you're not even having stretch marks yet, and you're just trying to help them not happen or try to delay them as long as you can. Like I said, for me, it really helped to use that Burt's Bees Mama Belly Butter. And I think that it just feels good to also like put something on your tummy that is not like your typical lotion. Like let's say I'm the kind of person that loves Bath and Body Works, and I love, love, love all the stuff, but I don't want to use that kind of stuff like on my bump, because I know that my babies are soaking up every single thing that I put on my body, and I didn't want them necessarily soaking that up. So that's why I felt that the Burt's Bees stuff might be a little bit more natural, a little bit more healthy for that. Third trimester, there are a couple other things that you may want to just keep in mind that can happen, and it's totally normal. One of them is having heartburn, and I don't even know like if it's what you eat or if it's just how much you eat or what, but like every night towards the last few weeks of my pregnancy, after dinner, I would just have this like terrible heartburn. Like I literally had to like sit up in bed because I like couldn't lay down. It just felt like really, you know, weird. Like, so, and a big part of it is because there's like no room in there for your food to digest, but it is totally normal, and it does go away after you have the babies. Like it was gone completely after I had the babies, maybe within like a couple of weeks, which was really nice. Remedies that I have for that, I would just say focus on eating your big meals during the morning and lunch rather than lunch and dinner. And just do snacking in the evening. I think that really helped for me. And if you must get up and have a snack at night, that's okay too. There is no food shaming when you've got two babies in there, that's for sure. Same thing when you're breastfeeding. Eat all you want. Got to take care of mama and babies. I also want to tell you about the prenatals that I used. So there are a lot of things out there and a lot of different recommendations that you're going to get from people, especially when they find out that you're pregnant with twins. Everybody wants to give you their opinion. Any pregnancy, I think everybody wants to give you your opinion. But here's what I did, and I seriously recommend it because it's the most natural, healthy, completely holistic way that you can do this. And I'm not like a holistic crazy person that wants to like have all my babies without drugs or anything like that. Like I'm within reason, you know. Some people are completely gung-ho about that, and I commend that. I mean, I could not do that, honestly. I think that's amazing. But what I'm getting at is I'm just about being healthy, and I have realistic expectations, and I just want to take care of my body in the best way and my babies in the best way that I can. So what I did for my prenatal was literally fruits and vegetables in capsules. I know, it sounds kind of crazy. And you're like, wait, what? What about like the, folic acid and all the different things that you need to have when you're pregnant? Yes, all the things that you need can come from whole food. It's nuts. I know, it's amazing. But seriously, you guys, I'm gonna recommend this product below. I did my entire pregnancy with this and this alone. I did do a double dose from what the normal adult amount is. This company partners with farms to get vine-ripened fruits and vegetables, and they take those vine-ripened fruits and vegetables, they take out the water and take all of the nutrients and everything that you could possibly actually need from the fruits and vegetables and berries, and they put it into a little capsule and you drink it with water, just like a pill, except it's all fruits and vegetables. Now, this is not supposed to replace fruits and veggies, but it's really just supposed to be a bridge between what you eat and what you should eat. And in the case of pregnancy, it is the best thing that you can possibly get in your system. And in addition to that, I also did a vegan omega, completely plant-based vegan, like so good for you. So I'm gonna link that all below. Seriously, you guys, best decision I ever made. Like my pregnancy, again, everybody is different and everybody's body is different, but my pregnancy was more smooth than most of my friends who were having singletons, and I was having twins, and this is all I did for my pregnancy. I cannot stress enough that this is the best decision I could have possibly made for myself and my twins. We made it past full term. Everything was so smooth, like pretty much the whole time. I'm not gonna say it's gonna take away morning sickness or anything like that, you know, but it's just, it is amazing to know that you're getting completely whole foods and fruits and vegetables in your system, because that's what you should be having in your system. That's all I did for breastfeeding too. And I breastfed both my babies through 5 months. And I know that's not a lot, but for twins, it is a lot. I'm gonna talk about my breastfeeding experience in another video soon as well, so stay tuned for that. I'm starting a little pregnancy series and I cannot wait for you to see all that I've got from my memories here. The plant-based shakes were also amazing. In fact, they actually became one of my little cravings, especially during my postpartum. But I basically every single morning for breakfast would just start with this plant-based shake. It's literally all like plants and super healthy. But my favorite personal recipe that is super simple and like really fast, I still do it to this day with my babies, is a banana with a scoop of peanut butter and a scoop of this chocolate plant-based shake mix and a little bit of almond milk. It is so good. Oh, so good. It's crazy how interesting it is when you go to the different doctors and they want to give you different opinions. And like one doctor said, I've never heard of fruits and vegetables in a capsule. You need to take these. And I was like, no, I'm good, because I've seen the research on fruits and vegetables and I know how powerful they are and I know that I'm gonna get everything I need. And I did. So I'm really thankful that I stuck with my guns and did what I knew was right. There are other doctors who contradicted each other. One who would say you should have a C-section and another who would say you should go for a breech birth. I love delivering babies butt first. And I was like, yeah, wow, I'm not sure if I agree with that. It is doable, which is also something that maybe you want to look into if you're having twins, just based on your preferences. I weighed all of the risks, and that literally came out to be the final decision maker was that I didn't want to have one vaginally and then have one through a C-section. I wanted to have both the same way. I didn't want to open 2 doors, just one. And the only way I could guarantee that I wasn't going to do that was to opt for a C-section. And that's part of why we did do a C-section. If you're looking for a helpful app to use, I used Ovia Pregnancy, and that was actually really helpful for just tracking different things during my pregnancy. The doctor that I was seeing actually recommended it to me, and I felt like that was very factual and very helpful, and just again helped me answer questions about what I should be going through week by week, what the new thing is, what the size of my baby should be, you know. Also, luckily, my babies grew at the exact same rate. Like I said, when they were born, they were 6'9" and 6'7", so they were really close in weight and length and height and all the things the whole time. But don't be shocked if your babies are completely different sizes if you're having twins. This is also something that I heard a lot of people tell me, is like one would grow faster than the other, or one would kind of take a break and then keep going or something like that. You know, it's just something that everybody's body is different. Again, I'll say it over and over, but just track it and keep making sure that everything's healthy. And as long as the doctor says that they're healthy, like just, you know, you're fine. Don't worry too much about it. I know it's so easy to worry. Like it's worse when your babies are out, honestly. Like enjoy having them in a realm where you know that they are there and they're in one place together with you. Like, I know it's gonna be way worse when they're like teenagers, for example, and I'm gonna be like, where are they? You know, just enjoy them being in your tummy. Anyways though, so Ovia Pregnancy was definitely an app that I'd recommend. And then Flow was also one that I used when I was trying to track my cycle at the beginning before I got pregnant. And then after the babies were born, I actually used the Hatched app, and that was also really helpful in basically tracking what the babies were eating, how often they were eating, what hours they were sleeping, when we changed their diapers. It was just so nice. Little things like that. We don't use it anymore because now we're on a really good schedule, but during the first couple of months, it was really helpful to be able to track those, especially with 2 different babies, to make sure that they're eating around the same amount and sleeping around the same time. Another thing we did during our second trimester, during the fun phase, was go to all the baby classes at the hospital. So I don't know if you're gonna do all the baby classes at the hospital or things like that, totally your call. Some of them I think were really worth it, and some of them maybe not so much, but I did them all during my second trimester, while all the singleton mothers were doing them during their third trimester. And they recommend you do it during your third trimester, but with twins, you don't know how long you have. And there was another mom in our class that was doing her classes around like 35 weeks, and she just had 1 baby, and she ended up having preeclampsia and had to have the baby early, and she didn't even get to finish the classes. Meanwhile, we were going through the classes when I was only like 29 weeks pregnant, and I think that was a really good decision to be able to get those done early. Just make sure that everything's covered, that we know what we're doing. I mean, it's not gonna make you a 100% perfect parent by just going to these classes. You learn by doing, at least for me personally. I feel like that's the best way that I learned. And it's just good though to know these things ahead of time. A lot of it is really good to know, especially about like the birthing process. And if you're trying to plan your birth, like coming up with a birthing plan without having the knowledge of what your options are is very difficult. So I definitely recommend doing that early. And the only reason why they also suggest doing it during the third trimester is because they're afraid you're gonna forget some of it. Like, write stuff down that you think you might forget, or just things that you want to remember. I think a lot of it, like I said, is just common knowledge that you don't know that it's common knowledge until you take the class. So for me, I'm really glad that we did it during my second trimester and we got it all done easy while I was like really functional, and I was able to like bend down and do all the, you know, things that they taught us how to like breathe with like bouncy ball and stuff. Like, I mean, you know, they go through all these weird things and like birthing positions and all, you know, weird stuff, whatever. But it was really good to be able to be fully mobile for this, and also to be able like to be comfortable sitting in whatever seats they have in their classroom, versus if you're huge and it's your third trimester, you're not going to have the energy for that. Nor are you going to want to go to the classes when they're usually hosted in the evenings. I think they might have a few daytime classes, but most of them are evenings because they're for both parents to come to. And it's definitely nice to be able to do that when you're feeling completely up to it. So if you're having twins, I also recommend doing that a little bit earlier. Another big thing that was present the entire pregnancy from the get-go all the way to the end was my sense of smell was so strong, guys. Like, every single thing was just extra strong. Sometimes smells that I even usually love would turn me off. Like, I love Indian food, but then we walk into a restaurant with that type of food and I was like, whoa, I cannot be in here. You know, we got to eat outside. I could eat the food. It was just the smell of being inside. And it's like so funny how stuff like that happens. Whereas there are other things that I usually like wouldn't care too much about, and I would start to love while I was pregnant, like walking into a department store with leather clothes. Smelled heavenly. Same with walking into like Home Depot, like all of the fresh wood and things like that. Just, it smelled so good. It was so funny. The only other thing that I want to mention about my third trimester is that I had one night. It was one night where I got sick, and I have no idea where it came from. Like, I thought it was food poisoning, but then Matthias, my husband, also ate the same food that night and he was fine. I cooked dinner for us. So like, I knew what I was eating. It wasn't like we went out to some weird restaurant or something. And I have no idea what it was. I cooked us like these teriyaki pork bowls, which are really yummy, and we eat them all the time. And I've cooked them many times before. So I was like, I have no idea why I would get sick, but I did, and I freaked out. This was also right around when I was 36 weeks pregnant. And I knew that the babies would be fine if I delivered them that early. Well, at least, you know, fine relatively, depending on, you know, they might need NICU time or whatnot. But I literally was like getting sick at 1 in the morning and I have no idea where it came from. And I called my doctor, the like, you know, emergency overnight on-call doctor. And even though I was like crying and like apologizing, I was like, I am so sorry to bother you, but I'm really sick. And she's like, girl, it's my job. Like, I'm already up. Like, don't worry. I was like waiting for calls like this. And she's like, what's up? Tell me what's going on. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm like throwing up and I'm just not feeling good. And I have no idea if my babies are okay. I mean, that was the scariest part, is like my babies are really big by this time. And I was like, I don't know if they're okay. I mean, I was freaking out. And honestly, like I got whatever it was out of my system and then I felt better, but I was still freaking out. So like I was able to, she told me, she said, you can come to the hospital and check yourself in and have your babies today if that's what you want. And that would be totally fine. You're past the point where like, I know that they'll be healthy and you're set. Like if you're really worried, you can do that. Absolutely. She said, you can also go to the hospital and have yourself checked if you want, or you can, you know, just like go with the flow and see if everything feels okay and just go off of what you're feeling. I mean, she said it's completely up to you what you want to do.
I almost forgot to include that the doctor did mention, as long as I'm not having contractions and there's no blood, that those are the signs that everything is okay.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to try to stick it out and just like, you know, I'm going to just breathe and like think it over for a minute, because I was like, you know, freaking out. So then like I go back to sleep, and thankfully I was able to fall asleep. I mean, at least I think I was from what I remember. But gosh, I must have cried myself to sleep because I was so worried. And then I wake up like a few hours later and it's in the morning, and like my husband has to go to work, and he went to work and he's like, are you okay? And I was like, I'll be okay. And meanwhile, I was trying to call like, I was trying to call my ultrasound office to see if I can get an ultrasound just to check to make sure that everything was okay, which is funny because I actually had an ultrasound literally the day before. Like my routine appointment was the day before, and everything was perfect then. So I was like, okay, what could have possibly happened in the last just few minutes or in the last day, right? So I was crying all morning trying to get an appointment, and so thankful that I was able to get an appointment. And luckily it took me a while. They had to call me back and like go between their schedules and like try to, you know, figure out a way to fit me in. But like, thankfully they were finally able to fit me in for an appointment. And I went in, and like, I hadn't felt kicks all morning. I was like, still seriously, like I was like crying the whole way to the place. I was so freaking out. And they do the ultrasound, and it was like right before she put the monitor on my tummy, there's like a big kick. And I was like, oh, well, that makes me feel better. So she does the ultrasound and everything's perfectly fine. The babies are perfectly healthy. Both heartbeats are exactly where they should be. They did like the urine test, and I was still perfectly fine. Like, cause you know, then you also worry about like preeclampsia or stuff like that, but I had none of that. Like it was all so good. And so I have no idea what it was. It was like something that came out in like, you know, 2 hours, and it was gone, and I felt great again. And I don't know, it was really weird. So bottom line of that story is that things can definitely be weird. Things can go wrong. You won't see it coming. I don't know, but like, just remember to breathe and like go with your gut feeling. And for me, my gut feeling was like, I want to keep these babies in as long as I can. I'm not ready to have them come out yet unless they want to come out. So, and I did, I held them all the way through full term, and we had to have a planned C-section after 38 weeks. And that's when they were born, and they were so perfectly healthy. And I was so, so thankful. So that was pretty much all of the highlights that I can think of off the top of my head from my pregnancy. During the 3rd trimester, the only other thing I recommend that you do is obviously set up your nursery, because this is something that was, you know, it's kind of a task, especially if you're trying to set up both cribs and things. I definitely recommend getting help from family. Do not be afraid to ask for help. People want to help you. People want to come and hang out with you and celebrate that you're having babies. Like, this is a big deal. Well, that's it. Honestly, I tried to think of all the things that I could share as far as like tips go and things that I learned from my experience of being pregnant with twins. And I really hope that this was helpful if you are watching this and you're trying to figure out if what you're going through is normal, or if you're just curious about what it was like being pregnant with twins, because this was my experience. And I cannot stress enough that every single person's body is different and every single person's experience will be different too. But just take it with a grain of salt. This is what my experience was like. And I'm just so thankful that everything turned out so healthy and the babies are so beautiful. And I'm just so thankful I get to be a mom to twins. So I hope that you have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to my story and my recommendations. And if you are interested in any other motherhood lifestyle type videos like this, please do consider subscribing below. It'll absolutely mean the world to me, and give me a big like below for this video as well. Thank you. Bye.